Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Happy Life. I am your host, Marquise Holyfield, and today I have a special guest with me, one of my former students, but also, just one of my beautiful loves, Miss Jennifer Gardner. So
Hi.
I'm going to have her with. Yes, hi, Jennifer. Let's speak.
Hello everyone. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure to have you, Jennifer. So, Jennifer has a phenomenal story. So, we're going to talk about the business. We're going to talk about love. We're going to talk about what she's doing. And, we're going to talk about the healing process and so forth, too. So, I'm
Mhm.
super excited for this conversation. So, as we get started, I want to tell you a little bit about Jennifer. So, Jennifer has started a wonderful matchmaking company called Surely Made Match. And I'll let her go into details in a little bit. But what I found that I love about it is Jennifer is giving people the opportunity to meet people. Sometimes it's hard in this dating process. We've all tried to swipe left, swipe right. We've all tried to go to the club. We all tried to go to church, to the bookstore, the grocery store, you
Mhm.
name it. We've tried all the different things where people say, "Oh, this is where you can go find your mate at." And sometimes it just don't always work out that way. And
Mhm.
sometimes we need a little assistance. So I'm super excited about Jennifer and the business that she started, Surely Made Match, because it's really giving people the opportunity in a low risk, fun, exciting environment to meet new people, to learn about themselves, to grow, get coaching through the process, the do's and the don'ts, or
Mhm.
breathe moments to get to the place where you will be at what we call the happy life. So,
Mhm.
Jennifer, tell us all about Surely Made Match.
Yes, thank you so much, Marquise, for that beautiful introduction. I'm learning to allow people to speak about what I do and not be so modest because the work that we're doing is really impactful in our community.
Yes.
I started Surely Made Match in 2024. Last year was my first year in full production operation to help Black folks specifically, but people in our community find one another and have love for one another, build strong partnerships and committed relationships with one another. I really pride myself on making sure that the people that you're dating and having these dating experiences with are your surely made match. And I do that using my three-step, I call it my three-tiered star match process,
Okay.
which uses your astrological compatibility, if you will allow me to read your chart,
Mhm.
to help you find a match. Not only is it the questionnaire and the personal interviews, but I also take the diligent time to go through everyone's chart, everyone's personal interview responses, and match them based off of what I feel and what the stars align for you.
Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Mm.
I know we always are looking at different ways to figure out like how do we find that one. Of course, the one the guy sends us is key and important, but I think all these other different pieces come into play are in mind when we look at who's our surely made match. And
Yeah.
tell us about your success stories because I know you have done some successful couples, so people know that you're not just talking this, you have true clients that have been successful.
Yes, I am proud to boast that I have an 84% success rate with my couples, meaning the couples that I have matched organically from the starting process of them just filling out the database or me having conversations with them, to now being in a long-term committed relationships. I mean, these folks are traveling together, they're starting families. There's one that's engaged, and I just attended one wedding. So I know it was a big year last year, but I'm proud to say that these couples that I have met feel like they have found their partners. And I'm proud to be a conduit and a liaison for these people because I think that they would have never met one another. Another portion of my service is that people usually limit themselves to Chicago,
Mhm.
where my database is worldwide. We're
Oh,
national, we're
come on, girl. We
international. Yes.
international.
Yes, because I talk and I meet people all the time. And like, I don't know what's in my spirit or what God is calling for me, but people truly do tell me their life story, and they're like, "Well, I trust you, so let me just join. Let's see." So I have people down in Louisiana, I have people out in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Harrisburg. I have people in New Jersey, New York, LA, Sacramento. Honestly, it's full. It's a full database, and hopefully I can get some more people that are interested in my service and they can join the database to find their match as well.
Okay. Well, of course,
Mm.
Jennifer is definitely on www.surely made match. We'll put everything in the bio. You guys will have an opportunity as you look at the video later to see the website and be able to contact her and figure out how do you join? What is the great pieces of it? So that's
Mhm.
just the icing on the cake while we brought Jennifer on. The next piece is we really want to talk about, the happy life, the healing process, and the process of understanding like why she started this in the first place. So Jennifer, talked about, your story. How did you get here?
Yes. So I have the ebb and flows of love. I feel like I have experienced the highs and the very low lows of love.
Mhm.
And it has not soured my goals and dreams and idea of what a successful, fulfilling, satisfying, and healthy relationship could be and is. So I have a child. I was with my child's father for nearly 6 years. I thought that was the one. And life kind of turned us around. And it wasn't because love was lost. It was because the partner that I had, the partner that I had devoted so much time to, we had outgrown one another and we needed a new pivot. And a baby does not help you pivot. So,
Oh, it did.
so like I had to figure out like, okay, postpartum parenting, who am I? Who am I to someone else? Because I don't want to say like it tainted my idea of who I was as a partner, but I did feel like I failed in a way because I couldn't keep my unit together.
Mhm.
Um, so I pivoted, I had to figure out who I was, and then also coming out of this committed relationship to now being single, what will dating look like with this time that I have? So with that, I just took a chance on love and just got my foot in the dating pool. It took about a year for me to heal myself. I will add, and hopefully people that are listening knows that when you're on this dating journey, you must know yourself and heal those parts of yourself you don't like before you ever try to include anyone in that mess. Because we're not perfect beings, but we should be perfect enough for our partner to enjoy our company and want to invest more time into in our lives, our personal lives. So after about a year of healing myself and some therapy and lots of girl talks and lots of tears and just rejoicing the successful things that I've done in relationships and healing and changing the things that I know for a fact I was very toxic. I was in a toxic space. So I jumped back in the dating pool, and with my new perspective, with my new appreciation of myself, I started attracting different partners. Okay, at the beginning, it was like, okay, I'm finding people that feel like my child father. They weren't him, of course, but I didn't like the way his facial expression was. That reminded me too much of him. Oh my goodness, that's what my last partner would say. I didn't like that then. I still don't like it now. So once I healed that part and kind of figured out, okay, this is the energy that I'm giving off to attract these people. Then my next quarter of my dating experience, I was up and running. I got a brand new pool of options. And I was so happy to know that they were completely different from what I had known, from each other, from they changed my view and perspective of what I wanted for the future. I mean, this dating pool, it helped me grow up. grow up in love too, because we don't fall in love, we rise in love.
So wait, I
Um,
gotta stop you here because you said
yeah.
nuggets and we just gotta break them down. So let's go back. So the first thing that I love that you said was when you talked about why the first relationship, the past relationship for 6 years didn't work, it's because you grew apart. And I think it's
Yeah.
important for us to really pause and take that moment and understanding. I say this every time in the book. So if you haven't got Happy Life yet,
Mhm.
you have to read it because one of the pieces in the book talks about you have to grow together. You have to challenge each other, motivate each other,
Yeah.
inspire each other. And once you stop growing and stop doing the work and putting the work in, then it's harder to keep the relationship going because,
Yeah.
as my significant other says all the time, love ain't enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important for us to, as little girls, we grow up and we want the fairy tale. And she lived happily ever after, but it doesn't talk about the work that you have to put in to the relationship to keep it thriving, to keep it going. And I think sometimes we get comfortable. And when we get comfortable, we get very lax and we don't feel like we have to do the same work we did to get the person
Mm-hmm.
that we did to cultivate the relationship, and realizing that you have to cultivate the relationship all the way through. That every
Yes.
day that you get up, you have to look at it as a brand new day, a new day to love your partner in a way that you've never loved them before, a new way to listen to them, a new way to appreciate
Mm-hmm.
and value them, a new way to respect them. Because I think when you get in that comfortability piece, you do find yourself in a place of growing apart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just taking mental notes and checks on your partner and their needs. It matters. The small things matter. And I realized when I wasn't interested in his day that we were no longer like in sync with one another. Because
There you
I,
go.
I love to be involved.
See, y'all hear right here on the show. She said when she was no longer interested in his day, she knew. And I think it's important for us
Mm-hmm.
to take those moments and pause and listen to ourselves and understand. So before you get to the I don't care no more about what their day is or what's going on with them, start to see the little signs. And it's the little signs that they irritating you. Things that normally wouldn't get on your nerves are starting to get on your nerves. And how do you build back? How do you be like, hey, me and my significant other, we do something called check-in. So we are doing regular check-in.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go, well, how you doing? You doing okay? And then it's how are you doing? Then it's how are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think it's key and important to understand that you still need to have your individuality as well as your coupleness. Because
Absolutely.
so many people get wrapped up in the we, and you forget about the me. And it does not being
Mm-hmm.
selfish, but you need to be, as they say, when you get on the airplane, you got to put your mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't do that, you can't give to anybody else.
Yes. And how can your partnership, how can your relationship with someone thrive if you're not being intentional with how you involve them, engage with them, and like bring them into your visions and hope for yourself?
Yeah.
Like, how do you involve them if you're not being intentional? And I've coached people to recognize when the complaints become more than the affection and the adoration. Like some people find themselves resenting their partner before the breakup.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, sometimes like in the grief, resentment comes after everything has happened. Like, oh my God, why
Yes.
did I do that? Some people feel that resentment while in the relationship, and they don't know how to pull themselves out of it before it becomes toxic, before it becomes unhealthy, before it becomes abusive to their partner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just recognize, even with your friend circle, it can be on a lower level. It doesn't have to be at the matchmaker, dating coach. If you hear your friends and a lot of the things that they share about their partner sound like complaints, just check in with them. Well, hey friend, you know, what do you do to make your partner happy? Well, friend, does he talk about changing this? What has he said? What have you noticed? Do you notice anything that he can add to his life to change whatever? Like, you can't just complain, because I always say the interest must match the effort.
Come on now.
You
Say
know your partner is into you when they have so much effort to give. They're giving their best. But you know the partner is not interested in you, or a person is not interested in you or interested in being your partner when there's no effort, when you have to chase them, when you have to like constantly run and try to find where they are and to gather their attention. If you have to do all of that, they're not interested. They're not into you.
Right. And then that just clearly they're just not your partner. And I think we start have to start really looking at the signs as men and women and noticing when they really are into us. I say this all the time. It was something that my dad said before he passed a few years ago. He said, a man that really wants you is gonna move heaven and earth to get.
Mm-hmm.
If that means he only can spend 5 minutes with you, he will drive an hour just to spend the 5 minutes, just so
Mm-hmm.
he can see the
Mm-hmm.
smile on your face. And knowing that he got a busy schedule, he will fit you in wherever he can put you in to
That's
make it.
right.
And I think that's key and important on both ends. Women, we have to do the same thing. I know a lot of times women do that, and there's some men out there that will do it too. But I think it's important for us to take the step back and understanding what are we willing to sacrifice. And I always keep saying this, and I say this in the book:
Mm-hmm.
relationships are all about service. If you're not ready to serve and to be a servant
Mm-hmm.
for your
Mm-hmm.
partner, you're not ready for a relationship. Because it's
Yeah.
not about just what you getting out of the process. You have to give too.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not going to give, they're not going to give the same thing you give. It's not going to always be 50-50. Sometimes there is that 80-20 rule, the 60-70. And
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
just depends on what's going on in life. But are they willing to give? And not give they last, but are they willing to give their best?
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that's the key. That's important. And so as we go along, you said something else, and before I let you go, you said something about understanding who you are. And so tell us in the matchmaking process and the dating process, how important is that?
Oh, it's it should be top tier. Like out of all your goals, the relationship should be the bottom. Loving yourself should be at the top. Like if it was a pyramid, you should be at the top. That's that light from God, all of the love and energy that you're getting, that high vibration should start with you. If you don't enjoy who you are, if you look in the mirror, if you don't like what you see, how can you be attractive to someone?
Mm,
How can you bring someone again into your mess if you don't even enjoy it? A lot of our our sentimentalities in relationships are based on harmony and kind of this ebb and flow again, this balance of energy. And oftentimes you are what you attract.
come on, girl.
And what is it?
And
You
it is
are
the
what you
book.
eat, you are
It
what
is
you
in the
attract.
it is in the Happy Life book. You are what you attract. Come on, girl.
Yes. Yes. And honestly, you have to heal yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to know, like, one of the things that I learned about myself, my anxieties,
Mhm.
and what I would expect from my partner when I'm going through an anxious moment. Well, that's selfish of me. Yes, your partner should be there to support you, but girl, get a grip, first of all. And then ask your partner for what you need. You can't just spiral, or I'm a Cancer, so you can't just cry about it. You can't, like complain and beat a dead horse over and over. You have to know what you need too. So now that I'm working on my healing and I'm at this point where I can catch it before it spirals, well, now I can communicate, hey, babe, I'm really anxious and stressed. Can you just give me some beautiful words to get me through this next hour? Or like, and the responses are amazing. Like, my guy, he gives the best, like, he calls it his calming methods, but like, we're long distance. He's in New Orleans. I'm here in Chicago. So we can't physically be there, but he's like, he'll send me an audio message and he's like, okay, imagine I'm touching your shoulder and telling you, babe, you're doing a good job. Now we're going to breathe. Like, it's literally a meditation with this man. And I appreciate it because although he's not here to do it for me, he's walking me through it because it's something that I asked him. And if he can't deliver that, then I know he probably it's not equipped, or he might not be the right partner, or it might not be the right time. But like I can't complain about something that I didn't ask for, communicate. So it took me looking at myself in the mirror and really recognizing myself and loving that part about myself to bring people in.
And I love how you say that because it's something that I say in the book how I used to think that I think it's in the vulnerability chapter and the building trust chapter where I talk about how I thought that they used to have ESP. They need to be able to read my mind. You know how I think. And then I had to pause and be like, no, you don't know how I think because
Mm-mm.
I haven't communicated how I think. You have no
Yeah.
idea what is going on, and I advocate for the check-ins. It's so vitally important in the relationship process. You must check
Mm-hmm.
in with your partner. I am glad that my partner started me to do that because I didn't do that on my own. He started that.
Mm-hmm.
He started us to doing the check-ins. It was life because even when we needed to have the very hard conversations, it made it easy for us to have the hard conversations because it came in a check-in. And
Yeah.
it came in a place where neither we were both in a vulnerable state, but neither one of us was blaming the other person for it. We were both listening, we were both communicating, we were both appreciating each other in the
Mm-hmm.
process. And that's something that I wholeheartedly love and realized I needed.
Yeah. Yes. And it wasn't until I met with you, I read your book, that I started checking in with my guy.
Mm,
And like as women, I I know we're not checking in with our men like that. I know it.
mm-mm.
And I didn't know my guy had this much on his heart and on his mind until I started checking in.
Come on now.
I was like, I didn't know you were this stressed. Why didn't you tell me? He was like, oh, it's just I'll get over it. I said, no, babe, you can't. You're not alone going through this, and I won't let you go alone while you're handling it, while you're healing it. Like I'm here to support you. I'm here to be there for you, like you're there for me. And I can't complain about our relationship. I loved it before, but I'm excited about
It's
our
a whole
future.
new level. The check is a whole new level, but it's key and
Yeah.
important because what I found is men, and especially Black men, all men go through, but especially our Black men are going through so
Hmm.
heavily. It is difficult to be a
Yes.
Black man, period. And the struggles and the things that they go through, they need to know that they got a safe place to land every
Hmm.
single day, a place where they can tell their secrets and they're not out in the world, a place where they can
Right.
come and be comforted, a place where they can be lifted and supported, a place where they can be respected, a place where they can have peace. A place where they can go somewhere and be by themselves and it's cool. It's a place for them to hang with the fellas and you
Hmm.
encourage it, a place for them to be an individual, and a place for them to know that I understand that the world beats you up, but I promise you, when you come in here, when you come with me, I'm going to embrace you. I'm going to love you. I'm
Yeah.
support you. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to motivate you. And I'm going to pray for you. And I'm going to have your back
Okay.
no matter what.
No matter what.
No
Because
matter what.
that's your role. That's your role to this person that you've devoted your time to, that you've committed and say, hey, you're my person. Like, yeah, that it, and it may sound very heavy, but it's very simple in love. When you are truly invested in your partner, it's so simple. And it should always be simple. That's how you know it's a surely made match, when it flows so effortlessly. Like, it's like, is this real? God, did I deserve it? Is this for me?
Right. You
Is
questioning God, talking about, like, really? Is this my relationship? Is this really
like I really got this?
right?
This is amazing. I
And
love it here.
and it's something that you talked about when we talked about the healing process. It took you a year, and I realized it took me, those of you all know my story. I was married for 25 years. Um, and it took me probably a good 2.5, almost 3 years to heal.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the crazy part is I didn't know how much healing I needed because, as Jen talked about before, the complaining, the bitterness and pieces and all the different things that you have in that, I had that toward the end of the marriage as I was getting the
Mhm.
divorce. And so I was like, oh, I'm good. I didn't express all my feelings out. And then I had to get to be myself. That loneliness chapter, y'all. We talked about that isolation period in Happy Life. And God got with me and he was pulling back layers because um, as our first guest said on the first episode of this year's podcast, she talked about how like it was a mirror in front of her face about like, "Ooh, this is who you are," and God was like, "I need you to see you. I need you to see you," and I was like, "Oh, well, I don't want to see these pieces of myself." But what I realized and what I understood was taking the time to heal, taking the time to really love me, understand who I was, what it is that I wanted, really helped me to be ready for when the person walked in.
Yes.
It was this place of like excitement. It was this place of joy. But then it was a lot of
Mm,
questioning, like, okay, is this really for me? Like, like,
yeah.
okay, God, we gonna trust you, but I don't know about this.
Hmm. Hmm. And that's a big one too. Like accepting that you deserve this type of love. Because it's easy to like we've seen some unsuccessful relationships that we've given our all to and it left us with crumbs at the end.
Yeah,
And some people are not able to pick up from that. And I just want to affirm that those failed relationships, those situationships that might not have worked out, those failed conversations and
yeah,
like trying to engage with someone and it fails, that is not a testament of who you are as a person or what type of love you deserve. It's not a omen or a curse or anything because that one relationship didn't work out. All it means is that you tried it with someone that wasn't ready for you. And you must keep going. You must pick up where you left off. And like my spiritual mentor, absolutely love her, Lachelle Whitmore of Blissful Therapy. She told me that the people that you want will want you back. The
oh,
people that you need will come and find you. Your
mm,
partner, they're looking for you too. So you have to keep working on yourself because all these other partners, all the relationships that you think are failed or unsuccessful, that's actually research.
mm-hmm.
And like Marquise, we've both been in higher ed. We research throughout our day. We're observing people, we're observing spaces, we're observing like moments in the like external world, like what's going on and how it connects to what we're doing day to day. We research all the time. So dating is no different. These partners are just little, I hate to say it, little test specimens, excuse me. And I literally, and I'm coaching one of my good girlfriends right now who's coming out of a relationship with her child's father. And while dating, I'm like, make a chart. Make a literal chart of everything you like of this person, from the most mundane, superficial to the things that he has shown you or the things that he has spoken about. Like, write these down. I like that this guy is tall. I like that he's charming. I like that he talks to his mom. I like that he generous. I like that he, I don't know, one of my superficial, but it was very important to me. Um, I can't date athletes. Like if they were a sports athlete, a student athlete, a recreational athlete, I can't date them. I can date the gym rats. I can date the people that, take the yoga class, the kickboxing class. I can do that. But if they were a student athlete, I just it's an ego that I'm not willing to go up against. And it's no shade to any student athletes that want a partnership, but just not me. Like once I find out, oh, okay, you were star basketball player of XYZ high school, my interest kind of goes away because one, you have boasted about this 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But two, what am I going to do with this information? Like, are your kids student athletes that are winning city championships? Like what's the connection? So the ego I'm not willing to work with. And you know what? After I journaled about it, after I recognized, okay, what's my experience with student athletes to make me say this? I stopped attracting student athletes and I started attracting musicians. And that was good. that was something I like. And then just bringing it back to the services that I do, I found out that my fifth house is an Aquarius, which
Mhm.
is ruled about it rules creativity,
Yes,
music, art. Like,
girl, right
of
here.
course I like the artists, right? They're authors, they're painters, they're like, of course I was interested in that. So it aligns and it adds up when you take the time to be intentional with yourself and the things that you're doing in this time that you have on earth, this borrowed time.
Yes, and it is borrowed time, and I think it's important
Mm-hmm.
for us to learn that, as the scripture says, your gift will make room for you. And it was
Yeah.
funny. I was just watching documentary last night, and we were learning all about Shirley Murdoch and how Shirley Murdoch started out in the church, but the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for her to sing came in the secular, and she sang in the
Mm-hmm.
secular for many, many years, and then
Mm-hmm.
people shunned her and talked about her and talked about how her faith wasn't the same, or all these different things, and she, people don't know that she said, yes, I sang about all these other different things that were in the world. She said, but every album I put out would show the true piece of what my heart was.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, eventually
Okay.
God opened the door for her to be able to sing gospel, which is what she wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
learned is when I say your gift will make room for you, it's important for us to remember that sometimes God will take us in the unorthodox places and use the unorthodox things in our life to bring the blessing of who He's
Yeah.
called us to be and who we are called to help and be a blessing to. So be ready for the doors to open. Be ready to use everything that God has given us on the inside, and don't shy away from the different opportunities. Because, and this is what I always say, don't necessarily have a type. Jen is showing you, don't necessarily have a type, because the type that
Yeah.
you probably have had might not be your surely made match. It
Yep.
may just be what you had in your mind, but not what God had it intended for you. And I think that's the lesson that I learned, that
Mm-hmm.
the person who walked in my life, the person who became my partner, really on the outside looking in, wasn't necessarily the person that I would have picked 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but all the characteristics, all the qualities, all the character, all the insight, all the pieces that I needed
Yeah.
was in
Yeah.
this match that looked nothing like what I would have character typed myself.
Yeah.
And that, so if one lesson learned, I think out of this process, and as you look for your partner and understanding like what are you attracting and who are you attracting to you, is be open. Like we say in the
Mm-hmm.
be open, have the vulnerability to be open to the partner, to be open to the new, to be open to the check-ins, to be open to the growth,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly, be open to the healing, because you never know what God is doing and how He can
Yeah.
turn that thing around.
Yes, that is true. And I love what you said about not sticking to those preferences. If you look at my database, I don't even ask what you like because
See,
it
good.
matters, but it doesn't in the long run. Like in retrospect, you deserve a lot more than just the superficial. You deserve somebody that is the right person for you. Or like the great Whitney Houston, young Nikki said, "You're all the man I need."
Oh,
There's nothing else that
mhm.
you should look for outside of the base of who you want. Like I coach people and I say there's always a mold. There's a mold of the perfect person. They should have levels and of course percentages, but this person, if he only reaches 18%, don't give him more than 18% because he's not fulfilled the type of partner you need. Okay, he might be good looking, but that's only 10%.
Come on now.
That's not a lot. 10% is very small of the type of partner you need. Like, yes, you need them good looking, but you also need them intelligent. You also need them like self-sacrificing to their community. You also need them involved in their family and like connected to their history. Well, these are things I like. Let me not project. But but like these are the basis of your partner. And then who that partner is the cherry on top. That's the razzle dazzle. That's the sprinkle. It's like, okay, you're all these things and you play an instrument. oh my goodness, like you're perfect. Wow, there's no need to impress me because you're everything that I was looking for. And then you support that, you nurture that, you pour into that. You don't take away from your partner. Like, Marquise, I know you're an author. If you have writing time, I would not distract you during your writing time. In fact, you would wake up to a new pen and notepad every week, every month, as often as you need it. You
Exactly.
would have a big calendar. Like that's how your partner would nurture who you are and your gifts and your interests and your passions and like be there for you. You don't want somebody to take you away from who you are. And oftentimes people jump into relationships because they think that's what they need and like they're just better in relationships and it doesn't work like that. Honestly, you should have something enough to bring to your partner as well. Really reciprocated, harmonious, balanced.
Yes. I love it. I love you see why I brought it on, y'all. Y'all see why is the key factor. And I think all the things that she talks about is so key and important. Is all chapter 4 in what chapter 3, y'all. It's all chapter 3 in the book when we talk about intimacy. See into me. I keep telling y'all all the time.
Yeah,
Sex is just the icing on the cake. That's just the cherry on top. It's all
yeah.
those other pieces that Jen just talked about is really what true intimacy is. And when you have
Hmm.
true intimacy, trust me, it's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
out of this complete world. And so it's one of those things that I want us to really just focus on understanding as we think about like what are we attracting? What are we willing to do? How much work are we willing to
Mhm.
put through this process? Because I think, when you really get your truly made match, as we say, you're gonna put in the work. And then you know what? And the truth of the matter is it's not gonna feel like work.
Nope.
Even when it's difficult, even when it's hard, even when it's frustrating, you're going to have those emotions. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm. Hmm.
But at the end of the day, you're going to willingly go to the end of the earth for this person, no matter what.
Yeah, yeah.
So, well, Jen, it has been a phenomenal time just spending time with you. We've just
Mhm.
really, really, really have enjoyed you. So,
Thank
again,
you.
tell them how they can get in contact with you.
Yes, well, I definitely enjoyed this conversation again. Thank you for bringing me on. Marquise, you can call me anytime about this topic because I love love.
I know you,
So
girl.
you are you all can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and of course www.surelymadematch.com. On there, you're able to look at all the services that I have, including matchmaking, coaching, and concierge services. So I will plan your dates for you. Um, but you can also book a mirror evaluation, which essentially is my astrology reading. If you want to figure out where to start, I will give you insight on transits, current transits in your chart, kind of what your chart expects from you, and then what it would want from a partner. And then we build your profile from there. You can also reach out through the database, through my email, and with any questions that you have. I'm often live on Instagram. So definitely follow us on there. And of course, the events. We're having events all the time. We're working on a couples combo event coming up soon. So follow us to have those details. But just thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And what is your Instagram?
Oh, surely made match. Yeah.
So you can find Jen Surely Made Match and definitely check out the website www.surelymadematch. So Jen, it's been a pleasure. We're super excited that you have come on with us and share all of your insight and just helping us to figure out how do we find our Surely Made Match and what does that partnership look like? And most importantly, what are we attracting? I think that's
Hmm.
key and important. Also, we want to remind you all, don't forget that Happy Life is on Amazon.com. You can definitely get it for purchase. It's available for $20 on Amazon. And also, you can also go to our featured sponsor, MadelineRiley.com. Madeline Riley is our sponsor. So as you see, I'm wearing Madeline Riley's earrings, signature earrings today. And of course, don't forget our Holyfield knots that come in necklaces
Mhm.
as well as bracelets and earrings.
Mhm.
And you can also get Happy Life and some of our other books on MadelineRiley.com. Everything, of course, is in the bio as well as in the captions. So thank you again for joining us for another episode of Happy Life. We hope to see you again next week. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.